Hey everyone, welcome back to the All Music Matters on That podcast. I'm your host, Brian. And today I'm actually joined by four very special guests of the Kathleen Turner Overdrive. How y'all doing today?
How you going?
Not too bad. How y'all doing? Where you blokes at?
Hello.
Hey, Brian. Hello, I'm Lizzy, and I'm in Toowoomba in Queensland, Australia. Thanks for having us on the show.
Good day, babe. And
I'm about 100k away in Brisbane.
all right. And I think we finally got Aidan. Aidan, did you get the mic to work?
Is there any microphone? Can you hear me?
Yes. We got it to work.
Ta-da.
Oof, he was sweating bullets over there, actually. So that's all good. All right. So can you all introduce your names and what instrument you play?
Okay. Well, I'm Mark. I'm also here in Toowoomba, and I play guitar.
All right. Lizzy?
I'm John. I play drums. I'm in Brisbane.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's Johnny Bong. He plays the drums.
All right.
I'm Lizzy Lizard Queen, and I write the songs and I sing the songs.
All right. And Aidan?
I was bass guitar and now I'm transitioning to other guitarist.
All right. Sounds good. And how'd you guys come up with the name Kathleen Turner Overdrive? Because the first time I saw it, I was immediately thinking of Bachman Turner Overdrive, too. So was that where the inspiration came from?
Over to you, Mark.
Yes. Yeah, well, so I suppose it's a play on Kathleen Turner, the actress, and Bachman Turner Overdrive, and it was just a sort of a bit of a throwaway, jokey name, but it stuck, you know. So we've had that in previous iterations of this band, and then we thought, why not, you know? And then we found after we'd started that there were like a bunch of Kathleen Turner Overdrives, yeah, I think in the States and maybe one in the UK as well. So other people had the name, but we had it first. We believe.
We got to do it first. That's all that matters.
Yes.
Too.
Yes.
Yes.
Now they can't copyright us to do any of that legal shit against us or something like that.
Well, no, but Jack Black used it in High Fidelity as well. He referred to his band as Kathleen Turner Overdrive, but we coined the term back in the early 90s, so we get to lay our flag in the moon on that one.
As in the Jack Black, the actual actor?
Yeah, the Jack Black, and I think I can't remember the line, but it was his band was Kathleen Turner Overdrive, but yeah, we got in first.
It was definitely something with Tenacious D and stuff like that, too. That was hilarious as shit, to be honest. But all right. So I want to welcome you guys and lady to my podcast right here, and it's great to have you all on right here. So the way this is going to work is I'm just going to ask you guys some questions. So we'll start with Lizzy first. We're all going to be gentlemen here. So just going to get to know you guys more, both as the musicians, but also as the individuals, too. So I guess, Lizzy, we'll start with you, then Aidan, and then we'll go to John, and then Mark, you can close it out. But I guess let's start off with getting to know you guys a little bit more. So who are you, and how did you guys become musicians?
Okay, so, well, like I said, I'm Lizzy, and I'm actually married to Mark, and we've been married for a long time. We met at university. I was in a band and Mark came to see that band play. We were also student politicians, so we got to know each other, and then we started dating, and then a few years after that we started playing together. So I've never learned an instrument, but I've always sung. So that's how I've got into music, and that's my relationship there with Mark.
All right. And Aidan?
Yeah, so I started getting into music when I was about probably 13, 14. My dad introduced me to Rammstein. These guys know I talk about Rammstein too much, so I won't get into that.
Hamstein.
Yeah, and I met Mark and Liz, oh hell, it would have been at least 2010, 2012, sort of around that kind of time. And yeah, a bit later after that, we just started jamming and hanging out, and yeah, got into it from there.
We got the kid behind.
Yeah. Ava, can you go back out there, please? Now.
Oh man, he's harsh. And then I was like, "What's your language, man? It's a family-friendly podcast, for fuck's sakes."
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay, you're good.
And yeah, basically from there, I've been in about 3 or 4 different originals bands around Toowoomba, and sort of landed with these guys doing a few punk covers here or there. I was playing some drums to start with, and after that we found a drummer, and I moved up to bass guitar like I originally was going to be, and played with a bit of rhythm guitar here or there for some old demo tracks and stuff. But yeah, sort of finalised at bass for the long term, and now that we've got Rye, I'm doing secondary guitar. So yeah.
All right, and John, go ahead.
I'm the baby of the band, so I've been in the band for about 3 months as the new drummer. I've been playing music since I was about 9 or 10, playing the drums, and been playing in bands and done a bit of touring around Australia, in Melbourne-based, Brisbane-based, and Sydney-based throughout my career. And I got to know these guys in KTO as a fan when they were playing in Brisbane. And yeah, towards the end of last year, I just got the call, and I was thrilled to bits and jumped on it as soon as I could. And yeah, things have been going really well.
All right, good to hear. And Mark, close it out.
Okay, so I've been playing music since I was about 16, and my first love is also bass. So Ads and I are actually both natural-born bass players, but both just love playing. So playing bass and guitar, again with Lizzy started playing. We had an indie covers band back at uni called Mahittabel's Kittens, and that was a lot of fun. And we had lots of friends in the band scene in Toowoomba, and then we started the band with our Mahittabel's Kittens drummer Mel, and that was Kathleen Turner Overdrive, and played around for a year or two, and then life sort of intervened, and then we came back together a few years ago, and then it's just morphed back into KTO. Yeah, so and just having lots of fun with it. I think the focus on originals and writing your own songs, and being as collaborative as possible, has been just a really great fun thing to do. So yeah, it's awesome.
Have you guys lived in Australia your entire lives?
Yes, we're all Australians by birth and by design or by accident, and we just all live sort of slightly different locations. Like John's in our Queensland capital, Brisbane, and Rye, our bass player, is as well. And then Lizzy and Nads and I are up here in T-Bar, as we call it. But we get together as often as we can, and of course gigging as well. So really keen to hone the songs and the craft. And we're in a active writing phase at the moment too. So within the next few months, we'll have a whole bunch of new songs.
Yeah, and just to fill in the audience, one of the other players, Rye, couldn't be with us today. He's at work, so I guess Mark, can you just fill in Rye a little bit? Like, how'd you meet him?
Yeah. So Rye is probably literally the baby of the band. I think he's just a shade younger than Ads.
Other way around.
Is that right? All right. Oh, you are? Okay, you still got that that title. All right.
I think he's
and the youthful appearance as well. Right.
He's on February or March or something. Whereas I'm still way down at September.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, give the baby's bottle. You think you might already have it. So we Rye's the bass player in a band called Violet. They're a local grunge band, a bit like Blokos in Brisbane, and we hooked up with them when we started doing gigs in Brisbane and just fell in love with them. They're fantastic. They were a 4-piece then. They're back to a 3-piece, and just fell in love with them. Rise with this really dynamic style of bass playing, not unlike Ads, like really moving around the stage and the play space. We had another young guy who was filling in. So when Ads couldn't do a gig and we were keen to do it, we'd work with a fill-in bass player named Sludge, and then that was getting a bit hairy, with Sludge's other commitments, and Violet were on a bit of a sabbatical, so we jumped in and asked Rye if he was keen to jump in with us, which he was, and it's been a great fit. We've talked, like Ads and I have talked before, about swapping guitar and bass in particular songs just for fun, so it kind of felt like a natural transition to see if Ads was keen to jump in on guitar and have Rye as the permanent bass player. So that seems to be working well, and they both got great chops, so yeah, it only adds to the songs. But yeah, that's Rye's backstory and his introduction to KTO.
I want to just go back to your earlier point when you talk about who's the baby of the child. You're going to say it's like a sucking baby when you take the tit away or something like that. Or something like that.
Mostly hairy boobs here. Hairy man boobs.
Yeah, good point.
Sorry, American audience. That was probably more than you were wanting to hear over your cornflakes. Oh yeah, he's a almost like a nubile, whereas I can't claim the same. Just a hairy old bastard.
What's happening?
I know it's degenerating, isn't it? Enjoy your Wheaties, America.
Actually, I would say I was growing out the beard too, so actually I shaved it recently because I was kind of doing it's a little complicated to explain. It was actually a little drum cover project I was doing, kind of showing with age, because it was actually a heavy metal band out of the UK, and it was kind of meant to simulate a journey throughout the ages, like technically the last couple of decades that they were doing, because they had broke up. The band was called Bolt Thrower, and it was just kind of meant to show like age, for instance. So I recently shaved it off. I'm just getting that 5 o'clock shadow coming back again. So,
yeah.
All right. Enough about that. I guess. Let's see. I guess talk about the music a little bit too. So I guess Mark, did you put the whole band together, or I guess how'd the whole band form?
Actually, Lizzy started the process back in 2015, and with Ads and with another friend of ours, Beck, and and again, it's sort of an indie covers sort of thing, and that was the Junior Mints, as inspired by the chocolate and the reference in Seinfeld. So yeah, we were the Junior Mints for a while, and then I jumped in. So Ads was playing drums at that stage, and
Liz and I were only throwing a clip back and forward, trying to make some possible old school content.
yeah. So yeah, it just sort of came together. That was about late 2015, early 2016, something like that, and then it sort of evolved. Different people came and went, but the three of us sort of stayed core, and then I guess we just decided to shift our focus to writing originals rather than playing covers, even though we had a bunch of really cool songs that we were covering that you don't necessarily hear if you're going to a pub to hear a covers band or hear them the way that we were playing them, but I guess you feel that pull to write your own material, and we were real confident with doing that. So Lizzy started writing songs, and we went from there.
Yeah, that sounds good. I guess what sort of covers were you doing? Were you doing like some of the classic rock sort of ones?
It's a mixed bag. Blondie. What else do we do? Buzzcocks, yeah, some old school punk.
Sex Pistols, ABBA.
Yeah, that's right. We did SOS.
Yes,
Yeah, you name it.
Yeah.
Damned.
You said
Whatever
Sex Pistols. I
was
picture
something
Anarchy in the UK being played by you guys.
No, what did we do?
Pretty Vacant.
Yeah,
That's
we
the one.
did.
Yeah. So we did Pretty Vacant, and sometimes to songs that just aren't punk songs, but that you just can muck around with and do something new and interesting with. So Blondie was one that, and ABBA's SOS, those are two that sort of stick out for me. But I mean, in other bands, we've always had that, how can we really mess with this song and mess with people's heads, and play a different version of it and have fun with it. And that's the thing, because otherwise you just feel like a human jukebox. And that's the downside of playing covers, is you're playing to other people's expectations, and we've always thought, no, fuck that, we'll play what we want to our expectations. So yeah, that's our ethos and how we sort of got into it.
That goes there to me too. Yeah, you end up becoming like a living jukebox whenever you're just like playing the covers live too. But it always seems like it has to be the starting point, to be honest, because
sure,
pretty much you're just trying to get your feet wet, as they would like to say too, before you like finally jump into it. Be like, okay, we can actually do this band thing now. So now let's see where it goes.
Yeah, so I think we that's how all artists learn, is by copying and imitating to a point where you're confident with your craft, and then you sort of go from there. And I think it's a natural progression for most people, with the exception of people that stay playing covers. But that's cool too. I mean, that's an economic decision often, because that's where the money is. There's very little money in writing your own stuff. But
seen as a musician, you get seen as an artist.
Yeah, and that's important, I think.
Yeah, good point too.
It's about honing your craft as well, like just getting, like your stage act together and just getting out there amongst it and playing, and you learn so much from doing covers, just how to transition music to having fun. And I think all musicians do it or have done it at some stage, and there's nothing wrong with it at all. And but it's great to sort of like be able to write and perform your own material, and have that sort of experience that you get from starting off playing covers, and take it to that original act that you become.
True.
I see. Yeah, that's a good
Confidence building, I found, doing covers.
Yeah. I do mine with like drum covers, so mine's just strictly one instrument while playing over top of the music. So it's not like it's not like you guys doing like the multiple, or you got bass, guitar, drummer, vocalist, that sort of thing. Oh, I would like doing band sort of collaborations at some point too. It's probably a little tricky, so it'll be interesting. Yeah. But for this next one right here, I guess Lizzy, you could start here first, and then Aidan, John, and then Mark. Yes, how would you describe your music? What kind of genre do you think it is? Yeah,
I think of our music as melodic punk. So I feel like we have a punk soul. So we care about social justice issues, and we care about gender issues. Like we feel deeply about them. So we sing songs about them. We write songs about them. But we aren't your typical jumping, thrashing, screaming kind of. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way. We are more melodic. What do you reckon, Ads?
Yeah,
well, that's about what I would have said. Like you say, we're not hard, fast punks. We're get the message across punks, and we try to do it with groovy music behind, so that you can have a bit of a jive while you're taking that message in.
Yeah.
And John, and then Mark can close it out.
Yeah. Well, look. Like personally, I'm sort of like the love child of Iggy Pop, Blondie, and AC/DC, and in my drumming sort of world. And I think the style of music that KTO do has sort of has sat very well with me. I really enjoy playing the songs that we do, and that element of new wave, like disco, and Iggy Pop, sort of like late 70s, early 80s, and also like the groove of like AC/DC, like they were almost considered punk when they went to England originally as well, because of the music. And but it's just that music that you can dance to, like with a strong backbeat and groove to it. And that's certainly like where I like to pitch my drums.
Not to interrupt, Mark, but I do remember Iggy Pop a little bit, because he was actually in a little TV series. It was only lasted for like one season. It was back when MTV used to be like a big thing back in the States here. And it was called Bam's Unholy Union. Bam Margera, he was a big skateboarder. And I think Aidan probably knows him too. It was like...
Yeah, I remember that kind of thing.
It was Bam's Unholy Union, and he actually pulled him in for like the wedding reception. He was meant to be like the musician, that big act who like gets everybody dancing and everything too. And I forget what the title of the song was, but unfortunately it involved metaphorically killing people or something like that too. So it's all like, that's what you call a wedding reception, to be honest.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, funeral with cake.
What was that?
A funeral with cake.
Yeah. It was something like that. I don't know. I only know a couple songs from Iggy. I don't know too much about him, actually. It just actually... It was one of those episodes. It just came out of the blue. It was like, hey, I'll do your wedding reception for you and everything too. So actually, it was a pretty funny series. I miss old MTV, to be honest too. But Mark, go ahead. I was going to say, what do you think of how would you describe your music in terms of the genre and everything?
Yeah, thanks for reminding me the question, because I was a bit squirrely. So, brain starts going down another, rabbit hole. It's like, oh, shit, what was the question again?
Oh, no.
How would I describe my music? Well, I agree with everything that's been said. We have a melodic approach to songwriting. We feel strongly about issues. We feel really strongly about putting energy into the performance, and without having a gimmicky stage show, but having a presence. I'm probably the least present in that respect, because I generally tend to stand and play and sort of survey the audience, but Lizzy and Ads and Ryan jump around like mad things, so that makes up for my more stoic approach and I've been recovering from arthritis too, so whilst I was in that space, I couldn't actually move. I just had to stand still. But yeah, that's changed. I think we're influenced by so many things too, and that's probably what influences the songwriting style and the songwriting approach. And sort of John talked about even disco influences in there. Ads brings metal influences. We've got some songs on the back burner in terms of writing, and one of those that he and I were working on a couple of weekends ago is like, it started as this kind of almost like Metallica kind of riff, and then it as we worked on it over the afternoon, it sort of morphed into something that sounded like a cross between Metallica and Dead Kennedys. But it's like, that's okay, because those influences are in there, but they're subtle, and it's not like you're trying to write a song to sound like someone. It just happens to end up that way. I'm writing a song at the moment, and hearing it sort of a cross between the Buzzcocks and Stiff Little Fingers, so those are those UK punk influences, but they're not intentional. They're just, you've listened to so much different music over the years. Sometimes something pops out and it goes, oh, where did that come from? Oh, cool. Now I wrote a song years ago, and it was only as I was listening to it later and listening to the bass line, thinking, what does that remind me of? Oh, that reminds me of an Iron Maiden song. And it's like, it's an influence, but I guess the heart that we wear on our sleeve is just about being proud to play music with each other and to have fun, and if we've got something to say, then to say that as well. So yeah, that's, I guess, my take on it.
Yeah, I can see what you mean too. But I guess, speaking of influences, and maybe some of you already touched on it a little bit too, I think John more so, but I guess between musicians and even bands too, I guess, who would you say has been your biggest influence in terms of your style play? And I guess also with Lizzy, your vocal style too. So Lizzy, we'll start with you, then Aidan, John, and Mark.
So 70s and 80s punk heavily influences me. That's what I was drawn to as a young person. So like Polystyrene from the X-Ray Specs, Blondie, Joan Jett, Debbie Harry, sorry, not Blondie, Debbie Harry, Chrissy Amphlett, as well, Chrissy Hine. So those strong women who took the lead and had the beautiful melodic tones and who were fierce. Yeah, I'd say my influences come from those areas. Yeah, Aidan.
And Aidan's a key influence as well.
Aidan, you're a key influence. What would you like to say about your influences?
He's an influencer.
Slap like Flea, strum like Les Claypool, finger bass like Steve Harris, and pick like Lemmy.
Oh.
It's the long and the short of it.
I forget what movie it was, but there was actually a movie with Steve Buscemi, and they actually asked the question like, who would win in a fight, Lemmy or God?
Lemmy.
I'm sure they figured it out.
Trick question, dickhead. Lemmy is God.
There you go.
Oh, that was actually... I don't ever think I saw that movie, but he was actually in that movie, believe it or not, real briefly. It was just mainly like a stand-in moment. He just gave like maybe one or two lines.
Was that Airheads?
It might have been. I remember Steve Buscemi was in it, but I forget who the other two actors were.
Oh, yeah. I think that is their hit.
Yeah.
Steve Buscemi. Isn't it Adam Sandler and...
Yes, and... from The Mummy.
Yeah. I'm having a blank. Great actor.
We said The Mummy. I was thinking like Brendan Fraser at first, to be honest.
Brendan Fraser, yeah, Brendan Fraser, yeah. So
yeah.
that was the cast of Airheads. Very good. Okay.
It did seem like your comedy. But sorry to get off topic. But go ahead, John. Who would you consider as being your biggest influence from Jordan's style?
Clint Burke from Blondie. Phil Rudd from AC/DC. John Bonham. Jeff Porcaro. For his chops, and just like writing different things and being able to mix up, like take a beat from, say, someone like Bernard Purdie, take what John Bonham did to that beat, and then turn it into another beat. And I love that with Jeff Porcaro's drumming. But they're probably my main sort of drumming influences.
All right. And Mark?
So bass-wise, a bit like Ads, Steve Harris from Iron Maiden, one of my favourite bass players of all time. But also... what's his name from the Jam? John, can you remember the bass player from the Jam?
The bass player from the Jam.
Yeah, it'll come to me at some weird, like 11:57 tonight. It'll be like, oh, that's right. But the bass player from the Jam.
I can start processing.
Yeah. Start now. Tick, tick, tick. The bass player from the Dead Kennedys, I think it was Klaus Fluoride, and they were a really big influence on me as well, just musically. Glenn Matlock from the Pistols was a great bass player, and of course Paul Simonon from the Clash. Andy Rourke from the Smiths was another big influence, and guitar-wise, again, all sorts of influences. Early on, anything that was punk. Early Neil Young, certainly Neil Young when he was with Crazy Horse. He was like the godfather of grunge in that era and really influential. The Beatles, I loved not either George Harrison or John Lennon, but just their writing style, the sort of melodicism of their writing. Yes, there's so many influences. And in terms of closer to home, the Sunny Boys were always one of my favourite Australian bands, and a big influence just because of the melodic structure. The Saints, so we've been in Australia. I don't know that American audiences or other audiences outside of Australia would appreciate, but we have been so spoilt for choice growing up in this country with some of the the music that we've had, and in the 90s and early 2000s and those sort of grunge and indie rock era, we I reckon had some of the best bands in the world here in Australia, and they're really influential. Spiderbait,
don't forget the Radiators.
The Radiators. The Radiators are Aidan's influence.
Midnight Oil.
Midnight Oil. Oh yeah, one of the best bands ever produced, and again, really influential bass players and guitarists too. And I'm just drawing a blank on everyone's names. What was the drummer from Midnight Oil? Rob Hurst. Yeah, he was spectacular drummer. Yeah. So yeah, they're my influences, or some thereof. Oh, and Motorhead.
So he's not getting enough sleep if he's struggling with trying to remember names and stuff like that too. So that's all good. Actually, this next one here, I'm actually gonna kind of combine like three together too. So I guess Lizzy, you can go first with this. But how would you describe the music scene in Australia? Do you think it's really expanding, or do you think it's kind of like a little stagnant now because of what COVID and I guess some other problems you guys have faced? Because you guys had a lot of wildfires, right?
So what we have found is that COVID put a bomb under everybody in the music scene, so that when we came out of COVID, people were supporting the music scene like they had never before. That's been my interpretation of it. And there's been so many bands that have grown and are playing around, and everybody within the scene itself is very supportive of each other. Lots of gigging going on. We're very fortunate that we're asked to play a gig a couple of times a week. We'll have somebody approaching us, asking us, will we come and play a gig with them? So on that independent underground music scene level, I would say that things are looking really good. I'm not sure about internationally for Australia, though. I understand that there were only 4 Australian bands that made the hottest 100 on Triple J. So I'm not sure what's happening there. Yeah.
And they had appeal from previous years.
Really?
They're not technically valid in a hottest 100.
So anyway, yeah, that's my answer. Locally, COVID at the time it stymied everything, but once we were free, people ran wild with music, and it's just growing, and it's marvelous. And the scene that we're in at the moment. And we've played up the coast. So from Melbourne up to Brisbane, it's alive. There's always something happening and bands to play with. Yeah. Aidan.
Well, I was only going to touch on the Triple J thing, really, because it kind of peeved me that they are still running the program when, I think last year's or the year before's winner was a cover. And fair enough, they made it their own because they're a classic children's band and all that sort of stuff. So children's band doing adult band stuff, it was kind of cool. I won't lie, I liked it. But the fact that it made number 1 was depressing. And hearing the news about this year's Triple J Hot 100 that they had to peel so much Australian acts, which it's an Australian program, is just so pathetic.
Yeah, yes. We've lost that sort of national support for radio.
It used to be great, and I even went through the comments on the thing that I saw, and they would even say, "Oh, it doesn't matter to me. I listen to 4ZZZ." It's just like, okay, cool, sweet. Another point for us.
Yeah, because they play us all the time.
Yeah, and it doesn't draw me to go out on the town or anything like that, because you know that you're going to go to 4 different pubs that are probably on the same rotation of songs in the same sets and everything at the same time. It's just like, why pay a band when you've got nightlife? That's my 2 cents. That's all I should give.
That's all you got.
Liz,
it's all you got in the bank there, mate.
It's all I should give.
I will give you the pick of destiny.
Got the pick of destiny.
The pick of destiny.
Oh my gosh.
John.
It's a crazy
Johnny
one.
Bong.
Okay, John, go ahead.
Yeah, look, Australia is sort of a big country with a small population. So, like, touring in Australia is very difficult. You know, you're looking at, if you want to go be a Brisbane band or Southeast Queensland based band, and go for a tour to Sydney and Melbourne, like that's like 1,000 kilometres away to Sydney south, and then another 1,000 kilometres to Melbourne. So, like, touring in Australia is notoriously difficult because of the vast distances that you have to travel in between shows. But I do think, you know, like, if you do it right and you publicise yourself well, and it's certainly still possible. You just have to know where to find your crowd and know how to promote yourselves, like through internet radio, through like local independent radio stations like 4ZZZ in Brisbane, in the other capitals, and do it that way to build up a following. But you know, that's what you basically have to do to make it on a national level. And you know, you do those distances at least once or twice a year, really, to have like a national impact. And yeah, it's still very much a viable option, and we're still getting lots of bands from up south playing in Brisbane, you know, that are small independent bands that are on a shoestring budget, who are just jumping in vans and, like, you know, stopping at all different pubs on the way and making it happen. They're just good at promoting themselves on social media and, like, through, you know, independent radio. So it's still a viable option.
And Mark, go ahead.
Yeah.
Remember the question, Mark?
Yeah, I was going to say. But speaking of Picks of Destiny, what about this one?
Oh, that's you.
That's me.
Sound
that's
you.
me.
That was one sexy motherfucker, that's for sure.
Cut up. That's an old driver's license. Is the scene in Australia? Look, I think that definitely. Post-COVID, like COVID certainly shut everything down. The scene is clawing its way back, but in the independent music scene where we are with, you know, punk and other indie bands and even indie metal bands, you know, there are lots of gigs. There is a really healthy, vibrant scene across the country, especially the East Coast, and generally speaking, as he said, a very supportive scene, and a varied scene as well. You know, in terms of what we call punk music, it's not just a cookie cutter approach. It's not just bands playing 3-chord oi kind of punk, and again, no disrespect to that, or, you know, that really belligerent in your face what people interpret or understand as punk. Again, no. It's a really varied scene. You know, we've played with some amazing bands in the last few years, and I think that it's certainly doing everything it can to bounce back. You know, it's a struggle. You know, you've got venues that struggle with whether it be noise restrictions or, you know, sort of urban development. You know, our in Brisbane, the main music precinct is Fortitude Valley. It's a city, like an inner city precinct, or close to the CBD sort of precinct. And it's always been a really popular music precinct, but, you know, with the development of sort of high-rise residential accommodation, but people move into these precincts like, wow, I'm in the cool space, I'm really hip and happening. Oh fuck, I don't like live music, you know. And then they do everything they can to shut it down. So that's a real challenge. And the viability of venues. We had a venue go under recently, which was one of our favourite places to play. And so it's tough for venue operators as well. But having said all that, the scene is still continuing to grow. We play with amazing bands, and we have the privilege, I guess, of being recognised within that scene as a band with some merit, and people dig us, and so we are really humbled by that, because and certainly not worth letting it go to your head. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not rocket science or brain surgery, but it is fun to do. We love to do it, and the fact that some people dig it is really cool. So that's my take, and we'll keep doing it until we can't anymore. They'll have to wheel us off stage. We'll be like a meme, an internet meme, all being wheeled off in our wheelchairs. So,
I think we probably made an internet meme with Aidan right there not too long ago. Somebody walked on by in the background there.
Ava's avatar.
Something like that.
He was coming in and out.
He's blending in with the surroundings. He's going to be like a chameleon here pretty soon.
I had no thumbs. My thumbs disappeared. Nothing.
A child.
Nothing
He's getting a little bit.
An animal without my thumbs.
I can say a little bit. I think the closer you get to the camera, I think you'll see it a lot better. So it's all good. But before I move on to the next question, John, you are right about like trying to like tour within Australia, because I actually interviewed a drummer. His name is Travis Orban. I forget which part of the metal group he was a part of. And I think it was because when they got in, I think one of their musicians, I forget, it was like if he forgot to like check a box or something, because this was like when COVID was like in kind of like a little bit of full swing. And they just bring out all the guys in the hazmat suits too. So it's almost like he brought like a zombie apocalypse sort of disease onto the population. But I guess also with travel too, because I guess all your cities are pretty spread out, and all you guys are all along the coastline too. There's nobody in the outback or anything like that. So I can see what you mean too, in terms of like how the population is not as big, even though it's like a big country and everything too. So everybody's chilling close to the ocean. So
True.
I guess speaking of COVID a little bit too. So Lizzy, you can go first, and we'll just go in the same order we did last time. But I guess, how bad did COVID impact you? Did you guys have any brushes with it?
Well, we all got COVID, but at the time the band, we were preparing for our demo CD release, I think, Mark. Is that right?
Yeah.
I can't really recall. But we weren't gigging very much at the time anyway, so COVID didn't have too much of an impact on us. And where we live in Toowoomba, there was only 7 weeks really of lockdowns, and then everything kind of went back to normal. So for us, we were early days. We weren't taking it very seriously, so it didn't really impact terribly on KTO. Thank goodness. I wouldn't like that to happen now. Definitely, particularly now that we're in the songwriting phase. Yeah. Aidan?
Yeah, no, COVID was bullshit for me. Because I was in a social job. I was a social person. I got locked out of my job for 2 months and locked out of being able to be social for 2 months. It actually drove me somewhat insane.
Yeah.
Like to the point of medications, stuff like that. Yeah, you don't cage an animal. It's kind of sad, really. But otherwise, as far as the band was concerned, I suppose we were still trying to practice and stuff. We were still doing it pretty safely and whatnot. Oh, yeah, speak for yourselves with getting COVID. I'm COVID-free since 2019, thank you.
So you haven't had it at all?
The missing link.
Oh.
Knock on wood.
Maybe you're the cure. You're it. Scientists, come.
Friday, I'm in love.
Extract the blood. Get all the protein out of him now.
Yeah.
Cage him.
Yeah. Science. Yeah.
Exsanguinate him.
Oh shit, we're gonna have to cage this animal again. That's for sure. We're gonna have to tranquilize him. We're gonna have to get an elephant tranquilizer to bring this guy down.
I'd like it.
All right. All right. And John?
I was in my last band, and we were putting together an EP. So we weren't really playing a lot live, and So it didn't really affect us all that much. I got a lot of practice done at home in my home studio. Yeah, so it didn't really affect me that badly at all. So except for the fact that, you know, the live scene shut down and you couldn't go out, you know, of course. But like personally, on a home level, it didn't affect me. But yeah, the scene certainly suffered, you know, like a lot of promoters went under, and, you know, festivals, and had a really tough time. It was really hard on the industry as a whole, like, and, you know, most industries in Australia got like government assistance for, like, you know, losing business, but the music industry, diddly squat. So, yeah, you know, which is typical. There's not a lot of government sort of incentive like the film and arts industries in Australia get lots of funding, but not so for the music industry. So yeah, a lot of people did it really tough during COVID on like that on that level of touring and festivals and like gigs.
All right. And Mark?
Yeah, I was working in a couple of schools at the time, and so by virtue of what my role was, I was a cleaner at one school and a groundsman at another. So I was kept employed during COVID. I had a couple of bouts of it, and wasn't hugely impacted. I think I had a couple of days of feeling like shite, and bounced back just like I would have with a flu. But I was not at all, I think it's the political side, but I wasn't sympathetic to the anti-vax stance, because I could see the impact it was having on people who were much more susceptible to respiratory infections and in complications associated with. So anyone in aged care, people with certain types of disabilities or critical health conditions, really young children, people who are immunocompromised, all these people are at risk. And that's why you have, for me, that was the virtue of all of the public health and safety measures that were put in place. So I wasn't terribly smashed by it. I think, musically, we kind of hunkered down. We were doing a lot of rehearsals as well, and just kind of getting to know ourselves in that phase of the band, around early songwriting. And we weren't smashed with it up in Toowoomba either. And in Queensland in general, we didn't have the degree of lockdown that southern states did. Like, Victoria was in lockdown for, I don't know, do you reckon, John, 12 months, 18 months? So it seemed like
18 months, and it was very harsh. Queensland was locked down, but
not to that degree. Yeah,
but not to the degree of like Victoria, just down south. So
so it definitely had an impact, and it's the music scene is recovering from it, but it's doing its best to recover well. Festivals are back on. In Queensland we were early recoveries, I guess, sort of post COVID. New South Wales, which is the next state that borders with Queensland, south of us, they were still not doing any live music, or very little, for months and months after Queensland was back. We were green lighted. So it certainly has had a big impact, but I think that the music scene and the industry is recovering. It's a very different scene though from what it was years ago. I guess the way music is packaged and promoted and delivered and consumed is so different from when we were, younger, buying vinyl albums and going to see bands, even in Toowoomba, like you could go and see live bands at 2 or 3 different pubs, but it's very different now. But I think people in the music scene understand that, and we adapt to changing environments. I guess that's we evolve with changing conditions in a way that we can still play music and write songs and engage with audiences. Yeah, that's my take.
Yeah, and it's good to see y'all made it through. So, and it's good to see also the music scene's also coming alive and also full of energy too. I was gonna say start pumping and everything too. We're gonna pump out music and everything too. So
yeah. We remain committed to writing songs and putting out new music as often as we can.
Remain committed to it, absolutely.
Yeah.
So good to have you guys around. So for the next question right here, I guess Lizzy, you can go first. I guess. So what gear do you guys use?
Well, I have a roadie mic, and that's it. Aidan, what gear do you use?
I was using mainly sound gear, Ibanez bass guitars there for a little while. Pretty much until the Canada tour, in which case I used Bodgy Ibanez Geo bass, which didn't cut the mustard, and it didn't for the bassist who lent it to me either. So I actually bought a 3/4 Jackson, believe it or not. And it was the lightest, most comfortable bass I've ever played, being a shorter human being. And I was playing that through whatever was going at the time. But mainly I usually use a Mark Bass Combo 2 600 watt head with a 12-inch speaker. And as for guitar, I really need to upgrade, because now that I'm actually playing guitar, I need to buy a decent guitar amp that's not a Ashton GA50 practice amp. And my guitars, I've got a Mexican Telecaster and an Ibanez Xiphos. Very, very distant types of guitars, but both very comfortable for myself.
Hey, whatever floats your boat. That's all it comes down to, really.
Exactly.
And John?
I've got an old 90s English Premier kit that I rebuilt from scratch. And it didn't cost a lot of money. It's not the world's best drum kit by any means, but I just love the sound of it. It's a good workhorse. Cymbals, I use UFIP and Sabian, and I've also got a lot of Roland electronic drums that I use in my practice studio. So I've got a TD50X Roland kit and an SPDX Octopad, and so a little bit of electronic stuff there, but I haven't sort of had a chance to use that in KTO yet. So, but certainly in the studio I do. Yeah.
All right, and Mark.
So I am using at the moment, amp wise, I've got a high watt max tone 200 watt transistor head and matching 4x12 speaker cab. It's as heavy as a pallet load of bricks. But anyway, that's my burden to bear. Although at some point I would like to deburden myself a little bit, I think, with that. And I have a couple of guitars. My main go-to is you see up on the wall there. Where's my finger? Finger's too big and too fat. Just up in the corner, there's it's a Les Paul, Gibson Les Paul, but it's not actually a Gibson. It's a tribute guitar made by a Brisbane-based luthier. He's an accidental luthier, an older guy who was in the Australian Shadows tribute band for many years. and for your younger listeners, the Shadows were a band from the 60s, an instrumental band that were Cliff Richard's backing band. And again, you have to probably look up Cliff Richard if you don't know who he is. But
Glenn's
anyway.
got his bass guitar in Royce Music House.
Oh, right, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
there's
Big purple one.
Oh, okay, because he's also got because they play Burns guitars, and he's got a Burns 12-string. Oh my God, it's such a beautiful guitar. So that's my sort of Gibson copy made by this accidental luthier in Brisbane, and also up there's this telly. I'm a big fan of tellies, so I've got this English-made Indie is the brand, and it's a dual humbucker telly. Plays beautifully, and a DBZ. So you might know Dean Zielinski of Dean Guitars. The big Razorback things with the giant headstocks and the really sharply jagged shaped bodies. And he's kind of floated around the last 10 or 15 years with different iterations of his own company, and he had a company for a while called DBZ, and so I've got a DBZ Royale. Which is also probably out of all my guitars, my favourite guitar. So yeah, that's and I've got a pedal board with a bunch of Boss pedals on it, distortion, phaser, flanger. So just starting to muck around with different sounds now to try and look at some different atmospherics. So we might get laughed out of the punk scene once the flanger and the phaser and the delay pedal make their debut. But I'm certainly hoping to integrate those sounds into songwriting as we move forward.
That's very good to hear.
So look, if there's anyone out there who's wanting to offer us a sponsorship, no.
Promotion time.
Yeah.
I love you, Ibanez.
Yeah, I'm too lazy.
3/4 sound gear bass. That'd be awesome.
That would be nice.
That's right. There'd be worse things than being sponsored by Dean Zielinski or Ibanez or Premier Drums or Rode Mics. But yeah, we just do it for the love.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess, did you guys release any new music? I guess now we could give a little promotion time for any music you guys just released recently.
We haven't released anything recently. We released about, was it April, May? We released our latest EP called Control Alt Delete, but we are in the throes now of creating new music, and we hope to release an album this year. So keep your eyes out for that.
Yeah, go the long player.
Yes.
How many songs do you think are doing?
Beg your pardon?
I was going to say, how many songs do you think are doing on this new album coming up?
Well, nine boys. You think 9? We can make them.
10 to 12.
Yeah, we'll see.
I was thinking of a triple album, much in the style of Sandinista by The Clash, but 20 songs aside.
You go back to those old punk ones where you did minute-long songs. We had 20 songs all together.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So maybe the 12.
Release it on vinyl and have a whole song going for the whole side of the album.
You got one side, and then side B is the other one.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
like that, the old school days.
Stuff on the boil.
Yeah, I'm excited about moving forward, and we've got some good songs up our sleeve, and everybody's throwing in their bits and bobs, and the music is coming together.
All right, so we'll make sure you keep an eye out for wherever on social media these guys are going to promote the music at too. But I guess speaking of which, do you all have a hand in your social media, and I guess also putting the music together, or is that all Mark who's doing it?
What makes you think Mark's doing it?
What makes you think I'm doing anything?
Yeah, Mark's the sudden leader of the band.
No.
I mean, he struck me as the older leader. I mean, normally I thought the elder was supposed to be doing it all.
No, there'd be a coup d'etat of epic proportions if you put me in.
So I run the Facebook page, and I'm the person who reaches out and shares our music with radio stations and so on. And John has just taken on Instagram because I don't understand Instagram. I don't get Instagram. So Johnny Bong has taken over with that. And we've got all our music on all the platforms. So, you name the platform, our music's pretty much on there. Yeah. But Mark doesn't do. I'm trying to get Mark to like my latest post on Facebook on our page, and asked him 6 times, and still
I
nothing.
keep up with all the liking of the posts.
Good job, Aidan.
Mark.
I get a notification, and then I just make sure I scroll through just in case.
We zoom over that, and then they'll be like, we see that one already.
It all helps.
Oh, it's just an advertisement, or we just scroll past that. So, well, good job, Lizzy. Thank you so much for sharing your stuff on there too.
She does. She's amazing, actually.
Very good.
Good woman. So
thank you.
She is.
I know you guys talked about your lyrical content earlier too. So I guess, do you guys range from like anything in terms of activism, where to be like environmental, maybe animal activism too, or I guess what do you all talk about in your lyrics?
Yeah, I can talk to that one. So we've got quite a few songs that I've written that touch on the things that impact on me. So one of our songs is called Dementors, and in that song it's pretty much a stream of consciousness about the things that I find wrong. So yeah, animal activism. So here in Australia there was a proposal to put forward ag-gag laws where industries, animal agriculture could basically do what they wanted, and nobody could say, hey, they're doing these inappropriate things. So in that song, Dementors, I talk about the abuse of animals, because I'm plant-based myself. So I talk about how animal agriculture is, it's destroying the world, basically. It's sucking up the water, it's taking over the land, all of the food that's grown to keep the animals alive, all the water that's used to keep the animals alive so that we can have, a steak on our plate. Talk about lots of different cultural things within the songs. Feminism, there's a bit of feminism that runs through our songs, seeking equality, gender equality, and yeah, it goes on. I could talk for ages about it, Brian, but that's basically it in a nutshell. Yeah, we aren't just singing silly songs about getting drunk and how fun it is to be pissed. We are talking about things that, that are important to talk about. Yeah.
I guess Aidan and John, do you guys kind of pitch in with the lyrics too?
I'm hoping to.
I sing them.
I'm hoping to have influence wherever I can. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, no, great.
But I'm better at writing melodies.
He's better at slapping the bass and also strumming the guitar and everything too. Make that guitar whine and all that stuff.
Yeah. All the listening part of the music.
Isn't it? That's the beauty of it. Like Aidan has come up with some guitar riffs, and he and Mark have been working on them, and then they'll chuck it at us, and Johnny might write some lyrics to go with that, or I think I might have already for that one. But yeah, I love that. I love collaboration.
Yeah. I've been sending 3 minutes of drums through to Mark, and just seeing if that inspires him to come up with any song ideas, and that's worked once or twice. So coming at it from all angles.
I think that's how Love at the End of the Line has been born, and we've been working on that today.
Great.
Yeah, from a drum line that you threw to Mark.
Excellent.
Do you guys go to the studio?
Beg your pardon?
Oh, sorry, I guess. What were you going to say first?
Oh, Mark isn't there again. I don't know what the problem is with him.
No, he'll be back on. He just had to make a work-related call. That's what he put a message up earlier. Oh, there you go.
Can't see you.
Okay.
Okay.
He's
back.
He's back. It's all good.
I've got a studio at home, just like my own little drum studio and recording studio, which I use, which is pretty basic, but it does the job just for sort of for demoing purposes. And it's great that, technology these days, that Mark can send me a file and I can whack it into my DAW, and using Superior Drummer with my TD50X, I can put down a huge array of different drum kits and then send it back. And so I'm looking forward to this writing process. It's going to be pretty good.
So you all do your own studios, and then you send all the music. I guess is to you, Lizzy, or to Mark, where you put it all together and form the song.
Mark?
So, like in terms of songwriting, one of our approaches is, Lizzy writes lyrics, and with that, because as you're writing, you might be humming something, or you've got a melody or whatever, and you write to that, and then she'll bring it to me. We'll sit down and work out, the actual melody of it, what key it's in, a chord arrangement, and then historically we just take it to the jam room, and then we tease it out there and arrange and rearrange. And now we're sort of moving into this space, as John was suggesting, where we're actually able to do things remotely and do them competently. So John sent me maybe half a dozen drum lines, and so I've had to listen to those, and one of those I sat down with maybe last weekend or the weekend before, and it was just like, oh yeah, okay, what does this look like, what does this sound like, oh yeah, okay, this, and then before you know it, there's a song. And really excited about that process, because it means that we can share stuff. We're all working on the same recording platform, which is Reaper, and it's not quite real time, but it means that we can put stuff together and be listening to pretty reasonable quality demos without the hassle of organising logistics to get to rehearsal studios and recording studios, and the cost as well, or conversely doing it in some other shabby way, like sticking a phone in the corner of the room, and not that there's anything wrong with that. If you need to do it at the time, it's great, but we've actually got the capacity to produce demos that we can edit, and then when it comes time to recording in a professional studio, we will have been able to hone the songs to the point where we don't need a lot of input from engineers, because that's always a thing. And when we've we've enjoyed that process, like the last two EPs, one we did with a fellow called Steve James, and the other with a fellow Adam Merker, yeah, and both had different approaches, and both had input into like stylistic content, arrangement, all of that, melody. But if we could get songs to the point where we were really, really happy with them, and we'd really worked them, and hadn't had to spend a ton of money in a studio to do that, then when it comes to recording, we can very confidently say, look, and we've put a lot of thought into these songs. We're really happy with them. We don't. What we need is your technical expertise sonically. So you play with the sonic landscape, that's great, but the songs artistically we're happy with. What we're playing, our instrumentation, that's all great. But we now need you now to bring out the best sound, so that these songs really pop, and that when people hear them on whatever platform, or if we do a CD or even vinyl, people will get the best quality product that we can offer them. That's my thought. Yeah,
that's pretty good. And actually, I've heard about Reaper a good number of times too, even though I'm mostly with Logic guy, because since I use a Mac, so I'm pretty familiarized with that. But I have heard about Reaper. Reaper seems to be like the next best thing. And I feel like it's starting to get better than Pro Tools, to be honest, too, even though I think that's more for your high-end music engineers, to be honest, too. So I can see what you mean. But I guess
so the functionality in Reaper is extraordinary. I've got a friend who has always raved about it, and I've just said, and you open it up, and it doesn't look like a bells and whistles door. So, in terms of its graphical interface, but when you start looking at its functionality, it's extraordinary. So yeah, well, I'm looking forward to having some fun with that. I've got two bands that use Reaper, so
that's good. Yeah. Good luck to you, mate. And for this next question here, and Lizzy, you can go first. What challenges do you face being a musician as well as also a band as well?
Good sound production at gigs. I think that's the main thing for me. Is you'll go to play and there'll be no fold back, or the fold back will be pathetic, or that's for me is the main difficulty, the main challenge. Yeah. What about you, Eds?
Money.
Yeah.
Money.
Fuel costs and so on to get to gigs. Yeah.
Yeah, getting to gigs, like especially with like I've got a pretty tight schedule generally, so most of the time I can't just stay overnight somewhere at a gig because I have work the next day or something or other, and so I will drive in and back all same day. Can't really do the whole accommodation in Brisbane and all that kind of thing if we're doing a gig such and such. It's really my only struggle. I'm pretty good at hearing through a lot of mess of noise if I have to, and that's mainly as a bass guitarist. I'll be honest, once I've started playing guitar, it is a bit harder to hear myself, but I can, in a roundabout way, tune my ears into what I'm supposed to sound like. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can see what you mean, yeah. Because you've been doing bass for a good while now. You only recently jumped up to guitar?
Well, I've been playing both as long as each other. I picked up the bass after the guitar. Same deal. Started on a 3/4 that my neighbour across the road had. I was like, look, I'm getting into the Chili Peppers. I'll go boom, and it just worked out well. And from there, did the bass as well as the guitar. I really, really, really enjoy playing guitar, but didn't have the full knack, I guess you would say, as I did with bass. Like, bass is like having a fifth limb. It's it's very natural, I guess. Whereas guitar, I feel I actually have to concentrate.
I would say enthralling would probably be a good thing with bass, to be honest. So I can say what you mean.
What's that, sorry?
Enthralling. I think it's like meant to be ecstatic or something like that.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah. 100%. And because I can hear bass so well through all the other instruments, when it came to playing live on the bass, it was pretty easy for me to keep up and try and keep that tempo going if the other members couldn't hear. Yeah.
Well, I think Johnny was drowning you out. I think that's the problem too, because he's back there banging on his drums pretty good.
Oh no, Johnny's good. Johnny be good.
Johnny's a good boy. All right. I guess, John, what challenges do you face? Because I guess obviously trying to pick up the drums and then also get it set up and everything too. But I guess what other challenges do you face?
I just fold back. So like having good fold back, like if I fold back at a gig and everybody's getting like a good mix on stage, the band plays 50% better, just straight away, like just because you've got a good sound. If it sounds good on stage, straight away you've got better energy, and that projects out onto your audience and it's much better. So it's like, and as the primary timekeeper at the back, it's great to be able to have a good mix, a good monitor mix. Apart from that, it's lugging the drums around is never fun, but luckily my bandmates help me out when needed, so that's great. So, and I'm training Lizzy up as my main drum tech.
Should be a roadie before you know it.
Yeah, that's right. Sets up my stands for me.
Don't become John Bonham's Coke roadie. So that's an Australian music joke. There's a band called Tism here that had a song called John Bonham's Coke roadie. Sorry, John.
That's okay. I have come across that one before.
That's right. Everybody's right for parody. So.
Yeah.
All right. And Mark?
Oh, great challenge. I think the thing about sound production at gigs is very true, but a little bit like ads. I think once I get into the moment, unless something's really, really glaringly sort of messing us around, I just tend to just start playing and then just zone out a little bit. I think feedback is certainly a real hassle. Other than that, you sort of try not to be too hassled by gigs. I suppose the other thing is saying no to gigs, I find it really sucks. When you get asked to play and you want to honour that, having to say no to gigs is always a real pain in the ass, and you don't want to let people down. We've said yes to a couple of gigs in the past where we actually haven't ended up having the full complement of the band. So we've played just like drum, bass, and vocals, or drum, guitar, and vocals. So we've done a couple where it's just been. I was with our previous drummer, but we thought, well, we don't want to let the team down, so we'll just go and do the gig and in a stripped back version of the band. I don't know if we do it again. It's fun in its own respect, but it's always better to play with everyone and not have people missing. That's about it, really. Sounds the when sound goes wrong, that's really the biggest hassle, I think. Yeah. And there's hardly any money in it, so not getting paid isn't really an issue because it's like 4/5 of fuck all. So, but it's nice to get money, and it's nice to put it in the bank and see it build up to the point where we can afford to do a recording or buy merch or whatever. Yeah.
I'd say it covers the expenses for gas and I guess any other expenses you have. So that's what
we all self-fund all of that.
That's true.
Yeah.
I would say I do work.
We do it for love. Yeah, do it for love. No, there's no money in it.
Yeah, that's right.
It's just icing on the cake when you get the money. That's the thing too.
Yeah. Well, we're all on the inevitable, rock and roll roller coaster to the sky, or we're in the sky. So might as well just have fun doing what we do for as long as we can. Yeah.
Absolutely too. So yeah. Best luck on your journeys right there. So, and I forgot to ask this, Lizzy. I guess when did you join the Band Together group on Facebook?
Ages ago. I couldn't tell you when. It always seems to be part of what we've been doing. We've been on Band Together for ages. Yeah. Sorry, I can't give you the exact answer. I'm sorry. I hashtag Band Together a lot too.
Yeah, what Christine and Greg did, it really brought a lot of us together too. So I guess, have you guys collaborated with other indie musicians? Or is that something in the works?
No, actually, no, I can't say anything right now. Sorry, everybody.
It's a secret. All right.
It's a secret.
Must be a secret to all of us.
It was overshot. So, all right, that's all good. So, can't wait to see what you guys got right there. So, we'll keep our eyes open for it. So, all right. So, everyone, we've actually talked for almost an hour and 30 minutes right here. Actually, I think we got to scratch out 11 minutes earlier because we were trying to get Aidan to work out earlier too. And I think John was having trouble as well.
Aidan.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll go ahead and jump into the fun questions a little bit too. But I guess first off, you guys have nicknames, right? I guess you want to say what your nickname is and why you chose that. Lizzy,
I am Lizzy Lizard Queen because of that wonderful moment in The Simpsons when Lisa goes, "I am the Lizard Queen," and because my name is Elizabeth, so ergo.
Ads. Aidan.
Ads, I guess, is just cutting a syllable off my normal name, so it's easier.
Adzilla.
Well, except for Adzilla. Adzilla's the Nicholas naming of my nickname.
All right, and John?
Johnny Bong. When I was probably 17, 16, someone said, "Do you want a John Bong?" Instead of saying, "Do you want a Bong John?" And it just stuck. And from that moment forward, I was always known as John Bong. And yeah, it's just always stuck.
I don't know. I was just picturing something dirty if someone tried to use that for a different terminology or something. Maybe a bad sex joke or something like that.
Like Johnny.
Hey, babe, you want to do a Johnny Bong?
I'm open to all ideas.
I mean, hey, you never know what people do. I mean, it took me a while to realize what Cleveland Steamer meant, to be honest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I didn't know what is it? Netflix and chill is a euphemism for staying home and having sex, isn't it?
Oh, that's just asking someone over to watch TV when you're not actually going to watch TV.
Oh, right. Okay.
Basically.
So, yeah.
Come over to my place for dessert afterwards or something like
that.
There
we go.
Yeah.
Like Netflix and chill.
Whereas
it's a Gen Z version of that, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's the...
Yeah. And Mark, do you roll with a nickname? And I guess why'd you pick it?
Well, I didn't pick it. Lizzy picked it, and it's Kong, and I hate it. So stop calling me Kong. I don't really hate it. But I nicknames. Like sometimes people give you a nickname and it sticks, and you hate it. But I'm not a big fan of people giving themselves nicknames either. But having said that, Lizzie's given herself Lizzy Queen, and it works. But I can think of some very recent, relevant, close to home examples of people who've given themselves nicknames, and it's like, wow, what the fuck were you thinking when you decided to call yourself that? But so if the band decision is to continue using Kong, I guess it sort of sticks.
Well, it could be It could be Kong with a C, because that's the shortening of your hyphenated last name.
That would be Kong.
No,
Go Congo or something like that.
The first half of the first last name and the second half of the second last name. Kong.
It could be, but if it's first half, it might. Oh, it would be. Yeah. Okay. All right. Kong. But I didn't make it up. There you go. So that's it.
I was forced into this situation by my wife. So
I'm very sorry.
I'm a hostage to the nickname police.
Okay.
Yeah. Kong and Bong.
Yeah, well, that works. Yeah.
That works. Yeah, I like it.
Bong classic. Crime fighting duo.
Lizzy could be Thong.
Oh God.
Bong and ads.
We're just pretty much throwing anything that has like O and G at the end of it now.
Yes.
So
Someone's got to be wrong. That could be right.
there's a wrong of people somewhere. So
Yeah.
So that's right. Everybody's right for parody, as I said earlier. So, all right. That's what I wanted to throw out there, because I forgot to ask earlier, like, what your all nicknames were. But for the fun questions right here, I guess, Lizzy, you can go first. What is your favorite food?
My favorite food is a pancake that Mark makes. He's got this special way of making a pancake. And whenever he says to me, what do you want? I go, pancake. Yeah, good one, Kong.
I'm going to say, what is this, IHOP right now?
What's that?
I'm going to say, what is this, an IHOP now?
What's an IHOP?
IHOP is actually those... they're a little change. I don't know if they got any internationally, too, but they pretty much serve, like, pancakes and all your traditional breakfast goods and stuff like that, too.
Gotcha.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, it's a pancake made in a moderate, like a small to medium-sized pan, poured in thick. The batter is thick, and then it's covered with a lid so that it sort of rises. So you end up with something that looks like a cake rather than a
without having to flip it.
Oh no, you flip it, but
okay.
It cooks mostly through from one side, and then you just flip it over to brown the other side, and there you go. You have a pancake, which is actually the density of a cake.
Yep, it's the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, that was good. All right. And Aidan?
Mexican.
Quesadillas and tortillas and all that other stuff.
It's Mexican, at least medium to hot spiciness, then yeah, I'm in.
Just like lather it in sour cream too.
Chicken wings as well.
Chicken wings?
Lots of spicy stuff. Buffalo wings, I'm a big fan.
Oh man, he's a spice fanatic too.
It's spicy that I can dip in a white sauce is delicious.
You ranch or blue cheese?
Nice.
And garlic aioli. Regular aioli, which is garlic.
That sounds good. Actually, that was different than what I thought it was. Normally, people fight to the death when it comes to ranch or blue cheese, to be honest, too. Though that might be just a state thing, I'm not sure. So,
I find that they are somewhat similar, but not the same.
people try to be civil whenever they're out in public, to be honest. But on Facebook or anything like that.
I'll sit on the fence on that one.
Yeah. Facebook, it's like
some ranching with some blue cheese. I'll give you both a go.
Yep. I'd say ranch, and afterwards I'd say kiss my ass, that sort of thing. Okay.
Awesome.
All right, and John, favorite food?
Curry. I'm a sucker for a curry. I love my green curries and my tom kha guys. I love Asian food. So But yeah, anything with a bit of spice to it too is good. I can't say no to that at the best of times. Indian, Thai, mainly. But yeah, I love my curries.
Do you have a favourite type of curry, John? I'm curious now. I love
curry on the spot.
Well, it was like a beef massaman, but I haven't been eating like red meat as much anymore, so I don't often have it. But it was beef massaman.
Like chicken tikka masala.
Chicken tikka masala, butter chicken, beef vindaloo, like veggie curry.
Thai red.
Yeah, green veggie curry. Oh, I'm getting really hungry now.
So we're going to start turning him into an Asian man before you know it.
Well, see, we spell his name Johnny Bong, Bhong, so it's it could be Vietnamese. Johnny Bong.
Bong.
Chi Mang.
Put the little arrow above the O.
Yeah, that's right. The
Johnny Byung.
He was a 70s crime lord in Anala, and he used to import illegal MSG. but we've steered him on the straight and narrow, and now he walks in the footsteps of John Bonham.
We've put all his limbs to use. He can't get into any trouble.
Yeah, that's
right.
right.
God, what have we done? That sort of thing.
Mark, what's your favourite food?
All right, Mark, what's your favourite food?
I have to agree with everyone.
We are all the above.
He cooks the pancakes and he loves the curry and some Mexican.
Yes, I was thinking curry's definitely, I think, up there, and I was thinking too, Johnny, of the beef massaman is. There are some places here in Toowoomba that do an excellent massaman. I love a beef or a lamb vindaloo. And really hot, a bit of ring stinger. Big fan of Mexican as well, and Italian. I really love a good lasagna, a good spag bowl, carbonara. And they're just the basics, aren't they? There's got a couple of really good Italian restaurants here in Toowoomba. Oh, and Turkish. Yeah, we've got a wonderful Turkish restaurant here called.
Oh yeah, love Turkish food.
And, fabulous.
So good.
So but be more aware of Middle Eastern and African cuisine in the last 10 years too. I've worked with refugees in a couple of different roles and had the privilege of having home cooked meals with them, and just fantastic. African food's amazing.
You always learn something new whenever you do these interviews too. Everybody's got a different taste these days. Just like Mediterranean. Actually, I don't know if you were actually the first that told us you like Turkish or sort of African cuisines that sort of came in around the world as we globalized our national presence everywhere too. So that's pretty interesting.
Brian, what's your favourite food?
I'm a burger eater. I'll tell you that much. I mean, you throw a nice burger right there, anywhere between medium rare. I will not do well done. I think I draw the line after mid well, to be honest, too, because I feel like well done.
It's too much.
I think well done. It ruins the flavor, to be honest. I always like a little juice with mine right there. So unfortunately, I'm a pretty bad carnivore. So I'm sorry, Lizzy. I didn't mention earlier you're full vegan.
We're all sorry to Lizzy.
I said one thing. What was your favourite food? Pancake. And then you all went in around the world with various meats.
Yeah.
We're all secretly carnivores at heart, to be honest. So
yeah, but to be fair, a lot of those cultures that actually make these styles of food are actually vegetarians. So
Well, have vegetarian food, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we Americanized it. We throw meat into it now, just to add to the flavor. So
yeah.
You can blame us. I'm sorry. I'm guilty.
Damn Westerners, and I guess we're kind of Southerners, aren't we?
Yeah.
Southwesterners.
Something like that, yeah.
Southwesterners.
Southwest.
Depends where the central is. It's around.
I don't know. Where's the bloody center at, to be honest?
Greenwich.
All right.
From the core,
Mordor.
we're all the same distance.
Mordor.
Mordor.
The Shire.
Mordor core.
Let's go party in the Shire, man. Those people know how to party. I'll tell you that, man.
Yeah. And eat. Second breakfast. Thank you.
We had first, yes. What about second breakfast? What about levities? Dinner? Supper? Surely he's heard of those. I wouldn't count on it. So,
Potatoes.
I guess speaking of which, did they do a lot of filming of Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit in Australia? Because I know about New Zealand as well.
I think it was actually all New Zealand.
It's
It was New Zealand.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the entire land was actually covered in New Zealand.
Yeah.
I guess, not to get off topic, but I guess, what would you guys recommend going whenever anyone comes to visit Australia? Just go to all the cities and maybe see a little bit of the outback?
Great
We
Barrier
tell them
Reef.
to go to New Zealand.
Great Barrier Reef.
Because everyone points go to New Zealand right there.
We have Great Barrier Reef. That's wonderful. Northern Territory, Central Australia, where Uluru is, the giant rock. There's lots to see in Australia. It's lovely. Sydney, the city of Sydney is lovely. The harbour, the Opera House. Brisbane is beautiful. It's on a river. Mark, why are you laughing so much?
I'm giving my suggestions. Logan,
Oh,
Oakey.
no, don't listen to
Suburban
him.
tour.
So, yes, come to Australia. Come to Brisbane. Watch us play.
The Urban Blight Tour.
Yeah.
It's better for you to tour over here than it is for us to go over there.
We got to stay close to home in that case. We don't have to go too far. Because we say beauty all around us. That's the thing.
Indeed.
Exactly.
Fair enough. All right. But for next to fun questions here, I guess, what would you say is your favorite movies? You
My
wanna do, like,
favourite
top three?
movies are Alien 1 and Aliens together. Yeah. Easy.
The face huggers and also the
Yep.
ones that burst out of your chest, right? And everything too.
Yep, chestbusters. Yep. Sigourney Weaver. She
Oof.
rocks. Yep.
Nasty
Ads.
buckets.
I'm a big stupid comedy fan, so I love like Adam Sandler's like Little Nicky and Anchorman, Will Ferrell, those sorts of types. They're probably my two top picks. Yeah.
All right. John?
Tarantino. Like Tarantino films, black comedies. Geez, what else do I like?
Oh, man, I shot Marvin in the face.
If I had to have a favorite film, it'd be Spinal Tap.
All right, and Mark? Or actually, did you have a couple others there, John?
That's about it.
Sorry to interrupt it right there, but I had to drop that whole thing with Tarantino. I always love that little skit in Pulp Fiction where John Travolta accidentally shoots the guy in the face.
Yeah.
When they're driving away from
Driving the car.
Yeah.
He just holds his pistol.
and bump. Yeah, that was hilarious. I don't know. Hard to say. I'm a big fan of Lord of the Rings. And believe it or not, the Harry Potter movies. It was something that we watched with the kids, and I think just rewatched regularly, and always some nuanced little comment or scene or something that you go, oh wow, that's cool. I didn't pick that up last time. We was a horror buff as a kid, so I think The Exorcist and Halloween are two of my favorite horror movies.
Yeah.
And I don't know, just sometimes just some things that are quirky, like I'm so over the whole big franchise superhero movie thing. I think it's a big bit of a wank, just spending almost, the budget of a small country to make shit cinema that people can go and gorge themselves on popcorn and Coke too. Sorry, Coke. Yeah, I guess it's something that anything that makes you think, and is a bit clever. I liked some of the M. Night Shyamalan movies. I thought that he had a great take on suspense, without being reliant on blood and gore and and then there's a couple of movies out recently. They're not Shyamalan, but they're of a similar bent. I think was it Us, and what else? Anyway, yeah,
I think it was Jordan Peele. I think that's who it was. I think it was like Us, Them, or something like that, and then each one was like its own separate horror movie. I think I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, they just they sort of turn your expectations on its head, so that you don't really know what you're seeing as you're seeing it, let alone where it's going to go. So the guy that did them, I think I can't remember what the name of the movie is, but it's about an alien, and the alien is, sort of in the sky, mimicking cloud patterns. But no, was that it? Yeah, that I thought was fantastic. And Don't Look Up was brilliant as well.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, yeah, those are movies which
not Signs then.
Signs, I liked Signs first time I saw it, but I didn't stay with it. But it's been a family favourite.
Fuck out of me.
Family favourite.
Yeah.
Oh, I know he's not going to go to a cornfield anymore. That's for sure.
Terrifying.
Unless there's a Jeepers Creepers scarecrow there, then we're all going to be in the cornfield.
Oh, geez. Don't get me started, Jeepers Creepers. Okay. All right. For the next one right here, what would you consider as your favorite drink, both in terms of alcohol and non-alcohol?
Oh, non-alcohol Pepsi Max. Thank you very much. I'm going to have one after we finish here. And alcohol, I like an espresso martini.
Okay.
Yes, I do. Over to you, Aidan.
All right.
Non-alcoholic, I guess I'm a big pub squash fan. I run a cafe, so coffee's always going to be on there. And, I mean, I did just finish some of these bad boys. And I'm very broad when it actually comes to alcohol. I've lived around alcohol my entire life. I'm a bartender pretty much if it was a trade, it would be by trade. Alcohol's very vast for me. I like a lot of
high tolerance level.
I like a lot of beers. I like a lot of just about anything you could think of. Speaking of.
And John?
For me, lemonade. I love my lemonade. And beer. Very simple tastes. But I don't actually drink anymore. But I do miss when in summer, like a cold beer every now and again would be good. Yeah, and Australia's great for beers. There's just such a great local variety. Yeah, but
that's got a secret little beer stash everywhere. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I guess what else were you gonna say, John? Or I guess Mark was okay.
No, I got it, Mark.
Yeah.
Non-alcoholic. Just a good coffee. And alcoholic. Been really smashing the alcoholic ginger beers lately. Like just super refreshing. With a bit of lime in there, and before you know it, like you had three and suddenly like, whoa, where are my feet? But otherwise, beer, like just a good crisp lager. Not a big fan of craft beers. There's a lot of craft beers in microbreweries these days, and that's great. No issue with it. But I find the craft, the IPA beer is just a little bit yeasty, don't like them on my palate, but I do like Corona. Corona is probably one of my favourite beers. Yeah. And in winter, maybe just like a straight scotch or something, just to warm the cockles.
Warm the cockles of your heart.
Oh, and Stone's Green Ginger Wine.
I'll say everyone and their grandma these days got a microbrewery, probably in the house or somewhere in the neck of the woods. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's a good bottling the most of another bottle for you then, Mark.
What's that?
Of green ginger wine.
Oh, right. I'm
sitting on top of me fridge. They're all yours.
Oh, you don't like them?
I bought them. I think they were on special.
Yeah. All right. Well,
I was like, okay. And
I'll
it was
take up on that.
And no, you can have them.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. You're very kind. I'll be straight over.
Good man, Aidan. Although I think he's secretly going to drink it later or something. We'll have to see. All right. And for the last of the fun questions, what would you say is your favorite song? This time we're just only going to pick one song.
One song. Favorite, guys, because you're supposed to answer one when it's favorite or the best.
It's so hard to pick just one.
Hang on, our own or like of all time?
No, I think it's just what your favourite song is of all time.
Yeah, let's do a favourite of all time.
At the moment, my favourite song of all time is Guided by Angels by Amyl and the Sniffers. At the moment. Of all time. At the moment. Aidan, which Rammstein song is your favourite?
No. Shh.
Wait, du hast nicht.
It's too hard.
One.
I'm going to say Army de Tristan by Rammstein. Shut up, Liz.
Johnny Bong.
Let There Be Rock by AC/DC.
Nice.
What was the song?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I missed it.
Let There Be Rock by AC/DC.
All right, good choice. And Mark?
Ooh, so again, yes, it's so hard, isn't it? But okay, one. There can only be one. I'm going to go with California Uber Alles by Dead Kennedys.
Oh, lovely.
Very nice.
Great song.
Pumping.
Yeah.
I was going to say it was either that or Holiday in Cambodia. The way you were also referencing Dead Kennedys a lot.
Too Drunk to Fuck's also particularly. That's just me.
Yeah, all right. That's all good. It's all good choices they're made. All right.
Relevant.
So, Lizzy, Aidan, John, Mark, we were kind of reaching the end of my podcast right here. Boy, we're almost talking for 2 hours right now. But we do have one more question. But I guess before we jump into it, did you guys have any questions for me or any final words you want to say before we jump into it?
Oh, thank you for having us on the show, Brian.
Yeah.
It's lovely. Yeah, we've had a fun time. It's been nice getting to know you too.
Yeah, it hasn't felt like 2 hours. It's been a really great chat. Thanks. So, yeah, really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And what is your favourite song of all time?
It's a little bit tough. I think the one I've always listened to.
I know. You asked me.
I know, yeah. I have to say, it's actually from a progressive metal band I listen to a lot. Obviously, when we're on the road, it'll be good a bit. But the one I always love to turn on is Answer the Sky by Between the Buried and Me.
Right.
Right.
Aidan,
Say-
did you
say-
Aidan,
say it again,
what's
sorry.
that?
The song's called Ants of the Sky.
Answer the Sky by which band?
Between the Buried and Me.
Oh, I know the band. Nice.
Yeah, it kicked so much ass. There's actually a good number of parts that just make me want to go.
That's what you want.
I gotta
Headbang
check.
and everything too.
I'm a big heavy metal fan
Oh, yeah.
as my all rounder.
Oh, that's all good. Yeah.
Nice.
I think the next one actually would have to be Niles, The Blessed Dead. Would actually be the number 2. So a close number 2.
Can I change my favourite song now? I've thought of another one. As I Slither by Cataclysm, spelled with K's instead of C's.
I do that band, yeah. And I've actually listened to a couple of them. And they actually came up with a new album recently. It was a Goliath. That's right. They came up with a new album.
I'll have to
Die
have
as a King.
Nice.
So it's so badass. Strongly recommend you go check it out. So,
I will.
all right. Are we all good? Or it's okay we jump to the final question?
Yeah.
All right. So
Sorry, I got fish hooked.
and Mark actually got to use the logo, or actually the reaction button. I don't know how that works, but
Well
whatever.
done, Mark. You're a
That's all
superhero.
thumbs up were right there. So I think we just recorded that too. Everybody's now doing emojis and everything too. Okay. Now Aidan's getting involved in it too. Okay.
Oh.
All right.
I've had almost. Yeah.
Something like that.
Hey.
Hey.
There's one Yeah, not too much.
I don't know. It's not exactly like that, too. It's really an odd shape, too. I don't know how you actually do it hard, but whatever. All right. But for the final question right here, given what COVID has done, obviously it seems like you guys have been pretty blessed. Obviously didn't have any sort of bad brushes with it or anything like that. But for those who have been impacted, and also in your country as well, what sort of message of hope could you give to musicians and people out there as we try to move forward in a post-COVID world? So, Lizzy, you can start, then Aidan, John, and Mark.
Yeah, just keep going. Don't let it stop you. Use it as a motivator. That's what that would be my recommendation. Yeah, don't let it get you down. Aidan.
Don't stop. Stay clean, and just try to enjoy yourself through it. There's not much else you can do except for just be vigilant. Over to you, Joey.
Just keep plowing ahead and aiming for fun, living in the moment. Just work as hard as you can to have as much fun as you can in as short amount of time as you've got left.
Mm. And you, Mark. Hello, Mark. Mark, you there? Short amount of time you've got left.
Is in my few remaining days of life. No, so don't take that seriously. Yeah, all of the above, and don't be a selfish nutbag.
Yeah, true that.
It's like we're all in it together, and don't let false, information or misinformation guide your what should be ethical decision making, and that's about what's for the good of all of us, not just you and your limited beliefs that you got from the back of a cereal box.
That's meant for the kids, to be honest, too. So, yeah.
Yeah, kids, grow up.
Yeah.
But don't grow up. Be kids. Be beautiful.
Cereal boxes.
We're all still kids at heart.
And stuff.
Mm.
Educate yourself. Look after one another.
Yeah.
You better check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, and that too.
What's it on?
Shoot set for you. Sorry.
I was starting to go on hip hop and everything else, too. So. And spoken like a bunch of true prodigies. All right. So, Lizzy, Aidan, John, and Mark, we reached the end of my podcast right here. We breezed through questions all pretty good. Did you guys have any final words? Any shout-outs you want to give before we close?
Thanks very much, Brian.
Shout out to the band. Thank you. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to make good music. Thank you. Yeah. And to the listeners.
Thanks,
and thank you, Brian, for having us.
Oh, everyone's talking too much at once.
And thank you to Brian for having us.
Yep. There you go. Okay. Now it all makes all right. And I guess what social media do you guys use so people can reach out and maybe interact or maybe bring up an idea for a collab?
Yeah, we're very active on Facebook, so we're KTO.Kathleen Turner Overdrive. There are some other Kathleen Turner Overdrives, but you want to find us. We have an icon that is a blue Carly in the Rosie the Riveter pose. You can also find us on Instagram, and we're all over the streaming platforms as well. But yeah, if you shoot us a message on Facebook, we will answer you.
All right. Yeah. The last thing, show off your hacker tattoos. Let's see those tattoos real quick.
Gotta
get as close. She's probably have to get close.
No, she's disappeared.
She disappeared.
That's my only tattoo, sadly.
That's her tattoo. Mark and John have tattoos.
I don't have any tattoos, no.
Just trying to get into the...
He's got the whole arm sleeve there going. So
that's our band logo.
Yeah.
Band logo?
That's the one.
All right. Those badass and everything too. All right. So everyone, my guest today.
This is new.
This is a new one. Oh, we forgot one more.
Yeah. So that and that. Anyway, yeah, it's all fun. It's all fun and games until someone gets hurt.
Yep.
Which is pretty much inevitable when you get a tattoo.
Sadly, yes.
Thank you, Brian. That was fun. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, man.
So, in closing arguments, everyone, my guest today was Lizzy, Aidan, John, and Mark. They're part of the band KTO, Kathleen Turner Overdrive. Go check them out on the socials. Go subscribe to their channels and everything, too. Whatever social media they're on, go check them out. Go check out the music on the social platforms, Spotify, whatever. And then keep your eyes out for any new music they got coming out. And then you blokes out in Australia, go check these guys out too. Go help these guys out and give Aidan some money too. It looks like he really needs it. So, okay. So you guys stay safe.
Thanks very much, Brian.
Rock on.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Stay tuned.
Bye.
See you, man. See you guys.
Adios.
See ya.